Just a fool to believe I am everything she needs. She's like the wind. There you go. The Expendable Show today. It's Sunday. That was Patrick Swayze. If you don't know that song, it's like the greatest love song that there ever was. So, if you don't know, you need to look it up and listen to it. Like it's one of those songs that you listen to, it brings tears to your eyes. There's like a saxophone solo. Patrick Swayze, like the greatest actor that ever lived, besides Dolph Lundgren. But welcome to my show. It's Sunday. We've had a lot happen in the election world, and I say world because there's a lot of elections going on worldwide that affect things. We may not think that it directly affects us here in the United States, but they do, because for me, everything happens in Europe first, and then it happens here. As we all know, if you've been watching my show, is I don't like Europe. Sorry, my European fans, all 21 of you. I'm just not a Europe fan. I think everything that I don't want to say all of Europe, but I do want to say that the organizational machine of Europe is something that I distrust. I dislike. I'm not doing anything that they suggest, even if it's innocent. If it comes out of their mouth, I'm not doing it, just because that's how much I distrust everything they do. So before we get into the news, please like, subscribe, send me some evil messages, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'll respond to them. I get notifications when you guys give me messages, so I will respond to them. I like responding to them, even if it's something ridiculous like, Eric, why is your hair so stupid? Or, Eric, why do you sing Patrick Swayze songs? Well, because right here, it says The Expendable. That's me. It's my fucking show. I'll do whatever I want. If you don't like what I do, go do your own show. I'm like the least techie person on the planet, and I figured out how to make a podcast. Yeah. I like drive Flintstone cars. Like, I don't even have tech in my car. Psych. I do. But I get normal things. I always have to go find like a millennial or a Gen Zer to tell me how to do things all the time. That's why I have kids, so they can teach me stuff. Yeah. Anyway, like, subscribe. If you want notifications for my show. I probably post more YouTube shorts. Speaking of, so there's a bodybuilder named Aaron Reed. He's a big timer. He's up there. But he's known as the tallest bodybuilder. He's 6'7", and I think he's out in California or something out there. But he's always making he's always like trying to give like pointers, but he's always standing in his pool. And so he's a big dude. So he's in a pool, and it's his pool, and it's got like one of those like glass domes over the top of it. So like, because it's really hot wherever he's at. He could be in Florida, it's a Florida thing too. But and he talks really aggressive. Like, he's like, I don't know why you feed your kids this shit, this cereal with all the sugar in it. Stop fucking feeding your kids sugar. And, he says stuff like that all the time. So I did a spoof in my pool, which my pool is just an above ground pool, but it definitely does not have a dome in it. And so I just kind of did a spoof video and on my YouTube shorts. So if you want like something to laugh at, first go watch Aaron Reed. Go watch his Facebook page, and because that's where he posts most of them. And then go watch my video. And then you'll be like, wow, okay, it makes sense. But it was fun. I've attracted some of his bodybuilding community a little bit. So I like that. For those of you who don't know, I go to the gym every single day. I lift weights like a madman. So I have a lot of respect for the hard work that Aaron Reed puts in, and other bodybuilders and other athletes in general that have to put some work in. I've been there, done that. So even in my mixed martial arts career, the amount of work that you put in and things like that is insane. So I'm just poking, just making fun of him. He'll get it. He seems to have a sense of humor. So if not, whatever. I guess a 6'7" guy is going to come out here and knock on my door. Anyway, so there's a lot that's happened. So Biden did do his executive order this week. It was basically the one that was proposed, the bipartisan one. So it hasn't done anything yet. I'm not gonna like sound the alarm yet on it. I don't like the plan. It has caps. I think there should be no caps. Uh, I think I think we need to shut it down. Like period. There should be no coming in. If they want to come in, they can file some paperwork and wait. But they don't get to come in and wait. They can wait in Mexico. So we're still seeing about 4,500 to 5,000 people cross. That hasn't changed. Like this is the same as before. So as Trump had a speech that he was talking in Vegas just this morning, and so I watched a little bit of that, and he brought up a pretty good point that this is all political theater, which it is. It's too little too late. Everybody, even the pundits on TV, are saying this is too little too late. Biden has already screwed this up, and everybody knows he's desperate, trying to close the border, but it's just an illusional closing of the border. There's still 1,000 exceptions to get in here, and they're still getting them. And you're still seeing the media down at the border showing the thousands of people waiting to get in. So this is all theater, and we need to know that as not so much as conservatives, because the conservative world's already hip to what Biden's doing. We're not falling for it. But if you're a liberal watching this, I'm not saying this to attack your candidate. I'm saying it because it's not just your candidate. It's every candidate for the last probably 10 presidents. They all do the same thing. They get close to election time. The year of the election, I call it election cycle politics. That's what it is. And they start finding out what the problems are, and they hurry up and try to create the illusion that they fix them, even though it's against their party's ideologies. Which, since Biden has implemented this, he's gotten a lot of pushback from his own party. They're not happy with him, especially the progressive movement. Whatever her name is, Priyanka Jayapal, whatever. She's a senator or something. But she issued a statement that she's very, very, very unimpressed or very disappointed in Biden's border policy. They want that border open. They want asylum seekers to come in. I don't want asylum seekers to come in. Like, why can't they seek asylum in Mexico? What makes Mexico, an issue? If they're coming from Venezuela, why can't they stop in El Salvador? El Salvador has a very good president, and he has cleaned that country up. He pretty much goes and rounds up all the gangs every once in a while and throws them in prison for years. Like, go to El Salvador. They need a working population. So I don't understand why America is the stop. Why are you going to take a 3,000-mile journey just to come here when you could stop at other countries? We're not the only developed country along the way. So, Biden signed the executive order. It hasn't changed much yet. We'll see what happens next week. I'm going to watch the immigration numbers and see, what's changed, if anything's changed, or if nothing has changed, which that's what I expect. There's also James Biden and Hunter Biden have been referred by Congress to the Department of Justice for prosecution for lying to Congress about time. So they were falsely testifying. I guess from what Comer says is there's several instances where they lied to Congress. So that's a crime. You can't just come in and talk and tell lies. They have all the documentation to prove that they lied. about some of the transactions that were taking place. Um, they need to be held accountable. We can't just have people going in front of Congress and lying. This isn't like a regular court case. This is Congress. It's the highest, and it's the highest like procedural thing that we have in this country. When you get called in front of Congress, it's because chances are they already know the answers, and they're just trying to get you to lie. So, and when we went back into the Biden world, when they had Steve Bannon and some of Trump's guys, they threw the book at those guys for lying in Congress. So, you shouldn't be exempt just because your name's James Biden and your name's Hunter Biden. We see what kind of a scumbag Hunter Biden is already. And it doesn't get any better. But he was riding bikes with his dad, spending quality time with him last week. Very nice. They look like a very nice bike riding family. Joe Biden didn't fall off this time. So when I'm looking at, so Joe Biden's been in France with this whole D-Day celebration, which is something that the presidents do every year. They celebrate D-Day. It's an important day in our American history. But he's just been a disaster since he's been there. Giving oddball speeches. Whoever his speechwriter is a complete moron. None of his speeches make any sense. It's the same mumbo jumbo over and over and over again. MAGA Republicans are tearing our country apart. And he didn't necessarily say MAGA Republicans this time, but he did touch on like the biggest threat to the world is the climate crisis. We've got all these international affairs going on, and you're still worried about the damn climate crisis. I mean, can you not go over to Europe and read from Europe's playbook, Joe? I mean, that's exactly what you did. What did the French want to hear? The French Climate Accord people? Oh, the Paris Climate Accords? Oh, yeah, you want to talk about climate. That's what they care about. Well, there's a bit of a newsflash. They had elections in France, and some of the results were a little bit shocking to French President Emmanuel Macron. The far right started winning seats. So he's panicking because that affects European Union votes. Is the European Union going right? What will happen then? Klaus Schwab, what are you going to do? You have a bunch of righties in there knocking down your agenda. So he was in France. He was given he gave a speech, and then he was trying to sit down, and it wasn't the time to sit down. So he was sitting around like looking for his chair, and then Jill was like, "No, dumbass, you're not supposed to sit down right now." And he's just so incoherent all the time. He struggled with the speech, and then you get these influencers on Twitter and the X. And they're like, "Oh, Joe Biden gave the most every time Joe Biden speaks, they're like, he gave the most patriotic speech I've ever seen. He was so Reagan-esque." That's what the liberal media is up there trying to say. He's so Reagan-esque. He even talked about Ronald Reagan's policies. Bro, you ain't Ronald Reagan, bro. You're a communist. You're exactly what Ronald Reagan was fighting against. You idiots. But whatever. You say Ronald Reagan and people go, "Yeah, Ronald Reagan was a good president." Which he was. A lot of liberals liked Ronald Reagan. So you can't just have Joe Biden go up there and pretend like he's Ronald Reagan. You're still Joe Biden at the end of the day. Whatever. Trick no good. He ain't Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan could move around for being 80 some years old when he was president. Joe Biden couldn't. He still walks like Mr. Roboto. Jill, what should I do now? Oh, let me shake this hand over here. That's what you get with Joe Biden. He's a robot. He's like an old, rusty robot. But that's okay. I feel bad because he's aged. His aging I was watching Trump was even talking about it. He said, look, people age differently, and people age either slowly or rapidly, or and he was talking the home, I guess the guy who founded Home Depot, or I don't remember what his name is, but he was 95 years old. Trump said, I still know him. He's 95 years old. He's sharp as a nail. He said, not like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not sharp. And now they're starting to expose it. I think the Washington Post came out and said behind the scenes, Joe Biden's slipping. Everybody knows it. So when you have the media and Joe Biden's own people leaking things to the media, and the liberal media is saying, oh, Joe Biden is not doing good, I just don't think he's going to make it to the Democrats. I don't think he's going to make it to the DNC. It's going to be a problem. They're going to have to make a decision. I just don't think you're going to have the first president to suffer severely from, aging and probably like severe dementia. They're going to have to remove him. And then what? It's Biden Harris. Kamala, you're up. We got some cackling to do. Cackle. That's what we'll be dealing with. Every speech will be a laughing matter. And that's going to rub voters the wrong way, because you have communities of people that are struggling. Their lives are in shambles because of this economy, because of Biden policies. And to have Kamala Harris get on TV and cackle like it's a joke in a time when it's not a joke is not going to resonate with voters. It's going to be a problem. So, then you have, Trump. Trump has raised just as much, or probably more by now. His war chest is bigger than Biden. Biden was bragging about that like a month ago. I got like twice as much money as Trump. Well, look, you got a conviction, and guess what? The conservatives threw the money out to Trump, and now he's up there with he can spend toe to toe with you now. So that didn't work. Do you see the pattern here? Everything they try doesn't work. If you're a liberal watching this, everything you try doesn't work. It doesn't work. Joe Biden's economic policy does not work. His immigration policy did not work. His election strategy did not work. His Afghan withdrawal definitely did not work. His policy on the Ukraine is not working. His policy on China is not working. We can keep going and going and going. This whole Israel Hamas ordeal is not working. It's to the point where Benjamin Netanyahu's not asking for any advice from the United States. He's like, hey, we got this. And he does. They just got hostages released this weekend. So, they just said, I'm just now reading it on the news ticker that Biden was talking and he confused. He brought up his uncle getting eaten by cannibals again. It's your president. That's your president. That's where we're at. His uncle was eaten by cannibals. I can't believe who is letting him say these things. Why are they not like killing his mic? Well, they're so worried about what Donald Trump says. They didn't even be worried about what Joe Biden says. It's the second time that he's claimed that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. They fact-checked the shit out of him for that. His uncle was not eaten by cannibals. His uncle crashed an airplane into the ocean and was never recovered. There were no cannibals. There's no evidence of cannibals. Unless you count a shark, maybe, as a cannibal. Or that would be a good story. He could say, a crack ate my uncle. I would be more inclined to believe that than cannibals. Joe Biden. If you're a liberal, that's your president. Think about that. Also, his policy on keeping America safe, huge failure. I just watched a segment today where a group of vigilantes in Hartford, Connecticut are now patrolling their own streets armed because they're not getting any help from their liberal mayor, their liberal police chief. They're not getting any help. So they have to patrol their own streets. Citizens, you pay tax money to be safe, but you have bureaucrats that say, nah, we're not going to spend that money. So then crime goes up. Then what happens? Eventually, you're going to back good people in a corner, and they're going to have to make decisions that they don't really want to make. But they have to because their families depend on it. So we really have to take into effect that these policies just don't work. And it's this ultra progressive ideology. When we go back, it goes back to Obama, it goes back to Hillary Clinton, it goes back over to Europe. So this isn't a new thing. It's just a heightened thing. They thought that they could take the Overton window. For those of you who do not know what the Overton window is, please read Glenn Beck's book called The Overton Window. It's a phenomenal book and it makes a lot of sense. I urge you to read it. Now Glenn Beck, he's no longer really a figure on the news anymore because the establishment was going to kill him. And so he took a back seat out. But the Overton window is our socially acceptable minimum and maximum things that we are willing to accept. And so they will move it and they'll say, well, we've gotten them used to this, so let's slide the Overton window over. So it's how they get extreme measures accepted by us Americans, like with the whole transgender thing. They started out with the LGBTQ or the LGB at that time. And then they just kept adding and adding and adding. Once we got used to LGB, let's add this. Now there's 75 different things on top of there. And I'm not saying that community is a danger or it's wrong or I'm a diehard I am a soldier of God. But do I think that the LGB community is evil? No, I don't. I have a lot of those members in my family, and I love them dearly, and I will die for them. But that's how they get us to accept things. And that was just a small example. It also applies to like our rights as Americans, where they get us used to, especially after 9/11, we had to sell some of our rights to privacy so they could keep us safe. So that was an Overton window adjustment as well. So we really need to pay attention. They're always trying to move the window on us. And we have to remember, we have to stop them from doing that sometimes. And they're trying to do it again. Biden also stated, like I said, he stated the climate crisis is the exponential, threat to the world. Mumbo jumbo, mumbo jumbo. Now, I want you guys to all understand, like, I do believe that when I drive down a highway, I don't want to see it littered with trash. I don't want to see, giant smokestacks of dirty carbon coming out of it. I don't want to see those things. I want clean air. I think we could do a better job of that. But do I think the world's going to end if we don't go to carbon emission zero or net zero or whatever their plan is? I don't think that the world's going to end because of that. I do think that the world will end because of our own our own worldly behavior. I think we have a better chance of being destroyed by God than we do from the climate crisis. So I'm just going to say that. And I'm going to bring that up here in a little bit, but let me finish the news. Um, there's also a humongous pro Hamas rally in front of the White House where they finger painted all over Andrew Jackson's statue with their bloody hands. That's a problem. That's going to hurt Joe because these people, their plan is to just not vote. So he's going to miss out on probably the majority of the, probably a lot of the Muslim vote, and he's going to lose some of the Gen Z vote because of this. This is why I titled this "Joe Biden is done." The mistakes are catastrophic. That even if Joe Biden gets a peace treaty done, it's too little, too late. The blood's already on his hands, according to the pro Hamas supporters, and they wanted him to stop that immediately, and he didn't. He played both sides of the fence. Well, I'll give you aid, and then I'll give you aid. Well, then it looks like, oh, well, he's funding the war. And now oh, well, every death is on his hand. So he didn't win. That was he handled that horribly. So Joe Biden has some issues. Now, when we go look at Trump, when you compare the two campaigns, and your Joe Biden's campaign is like watching paint dry. It's like Bob Dole. When Bob Dole was running for president, it was so monotone and like I just couldn't get into it. And like it's like, man, I'm gonna take a nap. Like, you are the most boringest person ever. Joe Biden is falling into that. Except Joe Biden likes to get up in front of the microphone and tell stupid ass stories that aren't even true, and he gets fact checked all over the place. So let's just keep that in mind. But then you look at a Trump rally and it's alive. It doesn't matter what you see or what your belief is. When you put a Biden rally and a Trump rally side by side, it's not in comparison. Not at all. Trump's got a big war chest now. He's rallied his base. He's got some good vice president candidates lined up. I'm still a Byron Donald fan. I think he is going to be the guy, or at least I want him to be the guy. Doug Burgum thinks he's going to be the guy. I don't want him. The enthusiasm's there. Great atmosphere. It's going to be tough. Like, they're riding on a high right now. You know, the worst thing that the Democrats could have done was convicted him of a felony. Like I said a couple podcasts ago, Trump wins the election off of that felony. And that they don't understand that you can't just go after a presidential candidate and expect America to just side with you. They're rallying around Donald Trump, and Trump is taking full advantage of it, like he should. You're going to go after me, then we're going to bring it. And that's what's happening. Now, that's pretty much, the major news. Now I want to touch on, I watched a video of a helicopter that was over the Gulf. And so we got this shark thing going on. So two people in the Panhandle got bit like within a few hours of each other by a shark, and then somebody over in Texas got bit by a shark as well. I think it was on the same day. So we had all these shark bites, and that's the expert saying this is extremely rare, that it doesn't happen like this. And then I saw this video of from a helicopter of hundreds of sharks just out in warm water, just kind of hovering. Like, they almost looked like they were like social distancing, but they were kind of just scattered everywhere away from each other. They weren't going anywhere. And I just feel like the balance is off. And I think it's sign. We're getting signs. We have this like giant heat, and thing going on out in the ocean that came out of Antarctica that keeps going up. Like the scientists, they have not explained what this is, but it freaks me out. It's how is a massive ball of heat coming out of a giant iceberg? Uh, I I think that we are I think we are going to be judged soon. That is my opinion, and I welcome that time. I'm not afraid of it. I think that God's wrath is just as powerful as God's love. So I think when, even though as Christians, if you believe in that kind of thing, if you're a Muslim or whatever, you can tune this out or you can listen. But this is my belief that God told us in the Bible that I will be back and I will have to destroy this earth again. Even though Jesus died for our sins, we're all forgiven sinners as long as we seek Christ. However, it's not going to stop our judgment. It's not going to stop the destruction. It's already been prophesied. The book of Revelation is very clear. So the wrath of God can still happen, and it will, because it's already been prophesied. And I think we're close to that. I think that we have Sodom and Gomorrah our world enough to where God's looking around and he's going, it's about time to flatten these people. They're out of control. And I think we're at that time. I'm not trying to freak anybody out. Maybe I'm wrong. But if it's that time, I'm ready. I'm ready. I just see a lot of just in nature in general, a lot of weird things. Every day there's something new and weird on that's gone viral somewhere in nature. You're seeing like the auroras that came down at then you see Dubai has a freaking tsunami or a hurricane. We were just cloud seeding. Well, it's still raining from last I heard. So there's things going on in the world that just don't quite add up to our normal way of doing things. Nature's reacting weird. The whole world. And these liberals can come out and say it's a climate crisis. They can say that all they want, but the power involved and the weirdness of like with the sharks out in the ocean, there's got to be something with the way that they communicate with whatever it is that was out there that had them all doing the same thing. That's not a climate thing. That's there's something else going on thing. So if you ain't right, it's time to get right. And I think we're at a pivotal time in the world. I think we need to really take a look at this election and get rid of what I think is evil. And I hope that when my book hits the shelves that you guys read it, because I'll explain to you why the choice of voting for Joe Biden is evil. He's part of the problem. And this is evil. I'm going to tell you this right now. When you trace this all back, it's pure evil. And so if you were a Democrat or a liberal and you are diehard going to vote for Joe Biden, you are voting for the destruction of our way of living as we know it, because there's a blueprint ready to get put in place by the people who run the Democrat Party. And it's not going to be a system where you feel free at the end of the day. And that's what a lot of the conservative movement has been noticing, that we see this coming. We see these changes that they're trying to implement that inflict on our freedoms. You can't tell me what I can and can't have, because the United States Constitution was put in place to allow me to have things, to allow me to pursue the happiness that I see fit. And that's for all of you. And the plan that they want to stick over here is going to take away your choice. And I don't know about you, but in the future, if I want to have a freaking Ferrari, I'm going to have a freaking Ferrari. Okay. But that plan will come over here and it will restrict my ability to be able to ever afford a Ferrari. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to end the show. Know where your kids are. Stay out the sun. It's 95 degrees here today in Atlanta. I've been in the pool all weekend. So stay safe. Know your surroundings. And I'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Peace. Oh, where's my cursor?